Good evening. It's January 22nd, 2025. It's my pleasure and honor to be speaking with Mr. John J. Jeckovich, a distinguished World War II veteran with a Purple Heart and 2 Bronze Stars. How are you doing today, Mr.
Very
Jeckovich?
good, very good.
You're looking well. I see you got a big heavy sweatshirt on.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Could you just think back for a minute, 80 years ago, when you're 18 and 19 years old, when you're out at the Battle of the Bulge in the Ardennes Forest, was the coldest winter of record, and you're outside for a total of 3 or 4 months at 40 below? Could you just imagine that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, just imagine that.
Well, we were lucky we had the barns that were strong. We will get in there and get warmed up.
Did you have the proper clothing?
No.
No. But could you just, close your eyes and imagine being out in the Ardennes Forest 3 to 4 months, 4 or 5 feet of snow, the coldest winter of record, wind chill factor 20 or 40 below. It's lucky anyone survived.
Yeah.
Many casualties were due to frostbite, lost arms and legs and nose and ears. Mr. Jeckovich, do you still suffer from frostbite today?
Right leg, right foot, yeah.
Yeah, 80 years later, Mr. Jeckovich is still suffering from frostbite. Wow, could you imagine that? But it's a cold winter now in the United States, and many people are skiing, and it's easy to get a frostbite there on the slopes when everything's wide open and the wind chill factor really gets low. If you're a victim of frostbite, don't run right into the lodge in front of the fireplace. The best thing to do, this is a trick we learned from Mr. Jeckovich in World War II, is take a snowball and rub it on that infected area, and that'll get the blood circulating again. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble if you run in with frostbite and you go in front of the fireplace. That won't turn out too well. So Mr. Jeckovich was in the Battle of the Bulge and many others. He was in Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, he's got 2 doctors, his left leg and his right leg. Why does he say that? Because he jogged for 80 long years, right?
Right.
What got you started?
Mr. Jennings, I read his book.
Okay, so that was a motivation that lasted for 8 decades.
Yeah.
What advice would you have to a young person today that wanted to start jogging?
Start out small and set a goal and keep it constantly. Don't stop and run. Set a goal and run it.
So that would be your advice. Set goals and keep running.
Yeah, don't stop and run. Don't stop and run.
On the way to the studio today, I noticed many people jogging. It's very fashionable. And they have these bright neon matching clothes, which you imagine they're very expensive, and matching gloves and hats and shoes and water bottles wrapped around their waist and headphones. Did you ever jog like that?
No.
How did you jog? What was your jog?
Sweatshirt, pair of corduroy pants, and sneakers.
And that was it?
That was it.
So even after time went on, you didn't get into the fashion?
No.
Okay. You didn't get into the fashion. So imagine that people that have to put on all those uniforms to jog. I wonder why.
Man, they're ego. They're egotistical. Ego.
And you just put on the $10 worth of clothes, and you went out there and did it.
Well, they weren't going out for the purpose of running. They were going on purpose to show off.
Show off, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. When Mr. Jeckovich started jogging, it was not fashionable, by no means. No one jogged back then. And what did they say to you when you're jogging down the road?
Get off the road, you bum.
Get off the road, you bum. People would yell that at Mr. Jeckovich when he started jogging as a young man or young boy, and they would say, get off the road, you bum. They thought he was jogging because he could not afford an automobile, but he was jogging for health. And what would they throw at you?
And there were stones, rocks, cat of beer or something.
Yeah, the Weisenheimers would throw all kinds of things at Mr. Jeckovich, and old Genesee beer cans emptied. And one time, some wise guy shot a full can of Campbell soup and popped him right in the head. Popped him right in the head. So times have changed for a lot better now because jogging is acceptable. I can only imagine that those Weisenheimers, they were saying derogatory things to Mr. Jeckovich and bombing him with all types of rocks, stones, cans. I believe they're all pushing up daisies because Mr. Jeckovich, by jogging for 80 years, has him sitting right in front of you now, and he's knocking on the door of 100. And without that jogging, he probably would have been long gone, long gone. Mr. Jeckovich could read the newspapers, which he reads 3 every morning, including the Wall Street Journal and others, with no glasses. You know how fine print the newspapers are. He reads them every morning. Mr. Jeckovich is sharp as a tack. He could shake your hand and bring you to the ground if he wanted to. The only thing they gave out of 80 years of jogging were his knees, correct? Your knees gave out.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good trade-off. Pretty good trade-off.
23 minutes.
Pardon me?
23.
Pardon me? Your knees gave out, and so you need help with other things, but you're still here in great spirits, and well-being. So I think that was a pretty good trade-off. By the way, if you're 40 years old and listening to this, you have less than a 10% chance of making it to 100. It's not an easy task. It's extremely difficult to make it to 100. Extremely difficult. Doesn't it feel like you said one time you blinked your eye and you're 100?
No.
It went by fast.
Yeah.
It went by fast. So enjoy your youth. Enjoy your youth. Because you'll blink your eye and Mr. Jeckovich says he was 20 at 1 minute and the next minute he was 100.
Yeah.
That's how fast it goes by. We're reading almost the end of Mr. Jeckovich's book. How many pages is it?
849.
That's a long book. We're at the end of it now where we're speaking about Mr. Jeckovich opening up the laundromat he ran as a young man for 18 years. And we're reading that. But before, oh, by the way, every day I get several texts. Where could I buy your book?
You can't buy it.
Book is not for sale.
No.
It's not for sale, but it's here to inform others about how life was in 1925. For example, 7 to 9 cents per gallon of gas, $2 or $3 to fill up your automobile. They clean your windshield, put air in your tires, check your oil, and check all your fluids for 7 to 9 cents a gallon. And keep in mind back then, when Mr. Jeckovich was in 1925, an automobile was only $700. A nice house was $2,000 or $3,000. No TV. Thank God no cell phones or laptops. Only thing they had was a wall stuck to the phone with about a foot cord. And what kind of phone was that?
A wall phone.
But when you picked it up, what did you hear?
It was a party line. They were either on there or listening.
See, a party line, Mr. Jeckovich will explain, is it shared the phone with other neighbors. So if you picked up the phone, chances are pretty good that someone else was using that phone in another house. So you had to wait till they got off, wait for the standard dial tone, and then you quickly turn the dial to get the party you wanted to reach. And then what happens when you were on the phone?
Well, they stopped listening and they're listening to what I'm talking
They're
about.
listening to what you're talking about, yeah. But in a way, it's a wonderful thing because phones tied to your wall, once you leave that living room, you still have freedom. Once you leave that house, you have freedom. Now, With the cell phone, keep in mind you never leave without it. It's in your pocket, it's in your purse. People are calling you for very frivolous reasons. And what's the point? Who needs all that chatter? It's no good for you. Be talking every 5 minutes about nothing at all. Yeah, it might be good for emergency, but 98% of it's all frivolous. Oh, and by the way, if you have kids, next time you go to dinner, watch your kids playing games on it. Watch your kids having the phone right next to them. Now, what kind of important call could a 14-year-old kid get? None. But these phones define most of these people, these cell phones. And believe it or not, parents are scared of their kids. They wouldn't dare tell their 13 or 12-year-old or 14-year-old, put that cell phone away when we're at dinner. They're scared of them. They'll never do it. They'll never do it. So you lose your freedom by having these phones and laptops with you all the time. It's supposed to make your life convenient, but is it? Are you have convenience? I don't think so. I don't think so. Back then, the wife would stay at home and take care of the family and do all the household chores, and the husband would be the breadwinner. He'd come back with a check on Friday, and the wife would go out, buy the groceries, $20 or $30 worth, was enough to fill the cupboards and the refrigerator for a whole week of a family of 4. Now what are we up to? Now where are we at? The wife works 3 jobs, the husband works 3 or 4 jobs. The wife has her husband available on weekends, and she has her office or work husband during Monday through Friday. So what did we really accomplish? Back then, a single wage earner like the husband, at least he could have bought a house. Now, everyone's working like crazy people. Everyone's working around the clock, and no one can afford a damn house. So where are we? What did we really accomplish in 80 years? It made your life really complicated. Complicated. Why must you always be doing something every minute? And a lot of that's attached to your internet sites and your cell phone. You didn't have a TV most of the time, right?
Yeah.
You grew up during the Depression. Did you think you were poor?
We had a small radio.
But did you think you were poor? You grew up during...
No, I didn't think I was poor. At Christmas time, Easter time, I had new clothes, good food.
Yeah.
Warm house.
And that was the Great Depression, 1929. That was the Great Depression of 1929. They didn't believe they were poor. It's a beautiful thing. Life was so much simpler. And there's great things to think about by having a simple life. Make it complicated. What are you really doing? You're running around like a crazy person to accomplish what? What are you going to accomplish? So
They want to get ahead.
Well, many times you don't. You have to do it a different way. Work smarter and not harder. Work smarter and not harder. But the point of this is not about family income, but just showing how much life was simpler then. Life was simpler then. It was much, much simpler than we have it today. Now it's very complicated. You know, poor young people can't even buy a house. And if you do buy a house and if you have to get a mortgage, you're stuck with these insurance, mandatory homeowners insurance, which is the biggest ripoff. I just read that Century Insurance Company just denied 70% of claims to Florida residents. These are legitimate complaints, legitimate claims on their house that was damaged by Merlin and Helene, and they won't pay them. And they basically say, "Sue me." And if you've never been in the system, I could tell you.
15.
Huh?
15.
I could tell you the color of justice is green. Why these insurance companies are telling you, go ahead and sue me, because they'll tie it up in court forever. They have the funding too. You'll go broke, and eventually you get the case dismissed because you can't stand the pain of paying for legal fees for year after year, because they'll spread it out 3 or 4 years. the case will be dismissed. You'll have the repairs not done. You'll have to do them yourself at your own cost. You wasted all that money on legal fees, and then they add insult to injury. The insurance company now will sue you for their legal fees that they had to pay to defend themselves in the suit you brought up. So the best thing I could recommend in Florida is try like hell to get yourself mortgage free so you can be self-insured. The best thing to be is self-insured and get away from these insurance companies. But as long as you have a mortgage, you have to have insurance. And if you don't buy insurance, the mortgage company will stick their insurance on it, and it's about 5 times higher than other insurances. So life was much simpler then, and that's what we're speaking of. I'm going to start reading your book, Mr. Jeckovich, but I hope that second book you're writing on, you get me some materials, because we're getting close to the end. So Mr. Jeckovich's book is not for sale, never will be, never was. It's not about money, he's got plenty of that. But we did over 400 podcasts. So play the podcasts. We went from chapter 1, by him taking care of his mother when his father died at 43, all the way to his retirement and his mother's death at 89. So all of it is there for free. Simply look at it. It's very interesting, and we hope that some of Mr. Jeckovich's experiences makes your life a little easier. Makes your life a little bit easier. So what's your dog tag number?
40965.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the laundry closing and opening?
What?
The laundry closing and opening.
Well, we had to get spot the people that had wash machines. So we had low-class neighborhoods with low-class neighborhoods. And they were the nicest people, honest people I ever met.
So the people where you opened up the laundromat were very low income, but they had great character.
Yeah.
They were great
and
people. Great integrity.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us more.
And then they would help me out downstairs, and yeah, we cleaned the table up, or we cleaned the floor and table up, or we did this. We swept the floor for her, and then had a guy come in, do the pictures, and he said, if I draw this picture, I get pretty washed. And he come in every week.
You still have that sketch today.
Yeah.
So Mr. Jeckovich says a man came in with great talents. He didn't know he had great talents. He says, if I sketch your whole laundromat on this piece of paper, could I get free wash and dry? Mr. Jeckovich said yes. It was the most beautiful sketch I think I've ever seen, in full color of the interior of his laundromat named Duplex Giant Wash. And Mr. Jeckovich still has it today. And tell us a little bit more about the characters that were in the laundromat to get it set up, the salesmen, the lawyers.
Shannon was a goofer. He was supposed to be the plumber. And he didn't know nothing about laundromats. He didn't know about centrifugal force. He didn't know about gravity, nothing else.
Your pumps for your washers were gravity fed.
Gravity fed.
And what Sheediffs did, he put in pumps, and that's completely the wrong thing to do. If you're gravity fed washers, you don't have pumps.
Well, then I had to put a 2-foot high piece of concrete slab to get them off the floor to give them gravity. And then DeLuca started yakking because I had to reinforce the floor.
Who's DeLuca?
He was a landlord.
I see. And who did the cement work that raised the washing machines?
Well, I did.
You did that?
Yeah.
See, by the way, Mr. Jeckovich's father came from Russia the legal way, a legal immigrant that came to this country, never had his hand out for nothing, nor would he take anything, and he did many different jobs. One of them was cement, making sidewalks, and at the age of 43, Mr. Jeckovich's father, Marion Jeckovich, dropped dead of a heart attack while he was on a cement job. So this is who taught Mr. Jeckovich to do all the cement work. So you had to put an elevation of 2 or 3 feet, and that would allow it to be gravity fed.
Yeah. Get rid of the pumps. No pumps.
No pumps. No pumps. That's a good idea. It's similar to a story now. We go 70 years later, and we're talking about those horrific fires in California, and we're talking about gravity-fed fire hydrants and pumped fire hydrants.
Yeah.
Someone saying that the fire hydrants
Didn't have the pressure.
in California are with pumps, and once the power goes off, you have no pumps. But that's totally untrue. I mean, California is ignorant and stupid, but who could be that stupid to make fire hydrants work on electrical pumps that pump the water? They're dumb, but they're not that dumb. They're all gravity fed. So we're using the same example with the fire hydrants. You said DeLuca. Who exactly was DeLuca?
Who?
Who was DeLuca?
He's the older builder.
Was he a straight guy?
Huh?
Was he a good guy?
Hey, he's a minister. He's a minister.
Oh.
He's a minister, yeah.
Oh.
Shaft me anytime he could.
He was a so-called minister.
Yeah.
Wow. A so-called minister. What'd you say damn one time? What'd he tell you?
Huh?
You said damn one time. What'd he tell
He
you?
said, please do not use the Lord's name in vain. and he shafted me.
Was he a nice person to do business with?
No.
When they start telling you they're ministers and they're wearing their religion on their sleeve, people, run fast and far. In all the years of Mr. Jeckovich renting residential commercial properties, we operate on the 3 Ps. We don't rent to preachers, pimps, or prostitute, because you'll always get screwed. And so this guy was a minister.
Yeah.
Did he remind you of it every time you seen him, how religious he was?
Yeah.
Yeah. And wasn't he like the worst landlord in the world?
Yeah.
Suing you every week.
Well, that house, that building was a mess. He didn't do anything. But it used to be a flower shop there, and he let it go. He didn't do nothing with that building.
So let me understand. When you picked the laundromat location, that location was vacant for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And you took it from a vacant, ratty old structure and made it into a first-class
Well, it cost me
laundromat.
$1,700 to remodel it.
And you did it on your own money.
Yeah.
And by doing this, instead of the minister being thankful of improving the property, he was suing you. What kind of things would he sue you for?
No, you're using the heat. The people are cleaning up on the second floor. They're not getting any heat. Well, the heat rises. They were getting more heat.
That's an excellent point. By running a laundromat on the first floor, those dryers, Mr. Jeckovich had the point spot on, the heat rises. So the tenants above are getting more heat. And he took you to court and saying that you were stifling the heat.
Yeah, the people were complaining. And then he wanted to raise my rent.
They want to raise your rent. What else did he sue you for?
Huh?
What else did he sue you for?
Well, he sued me before put the reinforcements down in the basement because I put 2 feet of cement on the floors to get the gravity feed, and I reinforced the floor. So I put the bars downstairs to hold the floor up.
So you went into a ratty basement and you put 3 steel poles so your floor of the laundromat would be level.
Yeah.
Was there ever a business in that basement?
He said I was going to put a restaurant down there. It was a mess.
I understand, but was there ever a business
Downstairs in the basement? No.
So describe what the basement looked like.
A shithole.
A shithole. But the minister said that he was going to put a restaurant
They're
there.
going to put a restaurant.
Do you think anyone would have ate in that basement?
No.
No.
They couldn't get in. You go through the back alley to get in. No, he didn't even have a light on the front door.
So you'd have to go through the back alley to a garbage dump to get in the basement.
Yeah.
And he took you to court to sue you for more rent because you put 3 beams in there to hold up the floor.
Yeah.
So all these times he took you to court, did he ever win a lawsuit?
No, I had Shed. Shed was a good guy. He was in my outfit. I didn't know that before.
He was in a military outfit in World War II?
Yeah, yeah,
And so all the cases you won.
yeah.
But you must understand, as I said earlier, the color of justice is green. Even if you win a case, you lose because your legal fees are astronomical. Astronomical.
4 minutes.
And so, did the minister ever at one point stop suing you?
No,
Right to the bitter end.
right. Well, then when we shut down, he still was suing me
Why were you shut down?
because they shut the thing down and put the convention center in.
Oh, okay, but I thought you were shut down for a fire.
Well, we had a fire before that because the Shinnis put the boiler on the floor instead of put it on the pad.
So you gave Shinnis warnings, don't put that gas-fed boiler on a wooden floor.
And he didn't do it. I should have gone across the street, got the fireman over.
And across the street was the fire hall.
Oh, yeah.
And so you gave him that warning, and then what happened?
Well, well, the floor started to smoke, and they called me in. They had the fire trucks there, and they said, "Well, you're lucky that boiler didn't go down in the basement."
Yeah, yeah. So what did Shinnis apologize and correct
He
it?
didn't do nothing. He did nothing. He said, "Well, you wrecking my floor." No, that was Shinnis.
Shinnis.
And the Lucas said, "You're wrecking my floor."
Wrecking my floor.
Shinnis was the one who was screwing up.
Yeah. And so then who fixed the problem there?
I did.
Smith Brothers?
No, it was Smith Brothers. We had the Smith Brothers come
Three
down.
brothers who are,
But he said we can't do too much for each other because we work on a daily basis. We work on a contract. We do the whole job. He said, I don't want to go in there and just piecemeal it. He said, I'll give you the advice, but you can listen to me.
yeah, the Smith brothers were good people, three brothers, and they worked out in their mother's basement on 4th Street. And they did good work. So how long were you down for with this fire?
For the fire, a week.
A week. And during that time, you have no income coming in. You're paying money to fix it, and the minister is saying, I want more rent.
Yeah, there was more rent. And he was the minister.
The man of God. The man of the cloth. Wow. And so what finally happened to the laundromat? What was its demise?
For me.
What finally happened?
Well, they shut it down, put a convention center in there.
The laundromat was right at the base of the falls in Niagara Falls, New York.
And that was another thing I had to fight the city with because that was a tourist area. I had to put a big sign on the wall outside duplex sign once. I had to get a permit, special permit for that.
In a tourist area. Minutes, please.
Minute 40.
So let me just say that this laundromat was right at the base of the falls, and when Mr. Jeckovich would go to work there, he could hear the roar of the falls.
Yeah.
It was basically right next door. It was a roar of the falls. And the genius politicians in Niagara Falls decided to take that whole area and bulldoze down all these beautiful stores, laundromats, pizza shop, motorcycle shops, bulldoze them down, and at the taxpayers' expenses, put up a civic center.
Yeah.
How did Civic Center go?
It busted up, didn't pay.
Yeah, the Civic Center was one
Then
big,
they got a big mess down there then.
big white elephant. Now, when you fast forward 50 or 60 years, that whole area now is a ghetto,
Yeah.
is a total ghetto. You'd have to go there with a gun in your hand. If you.
Well, look at the Canadians. I see what they did, what we did.
That's a great point. From Mr. Jeckovich, he could throw a stone from his laundromat and hit Niagara Falls, Ontario. Then and now, it's like Disneyland. Perfectly manicured lawns and flowers.
Yeah.
Stores are thriving. And believe it or not, they still have 10 or 20 souvenir stores.
Yeah.
That was the honeymoon capital of the world. They got this gift Mother Nature gave them of Niagara Falls. And the politicians on the American side
10 seconds.
ran it into the ground.
Yeah, the mafia ran it.
They ran into the ground.
Yeah, they were working out in New York.
Yeah.